90 mil of rain fell yesterday, so down day. Things are very slippery out here today. We had a very frustrating start. We're certainly hunting very hard for these animals, but things are looking up. Check this out. We've pushed up into this big valley system again this morning, and it's really quiet. There's water everywhere. It's very treacherous and slippery, as expected, so we're just really taking our time. We were hoping the red deer would have been going off up in those big wallows that have been dry. They'll be full of water now, but it's very quiet. A few little croaks out of the fallow. We'll just have to continue. We've just got into our first wallow. There is water in it, but there hasn't really been any deer in it yet, which is a bit of a shame. But we've just glanced up here through all of that cloud bank. There's about 20 deer up on that face. It'd be treacherous to go up there, but we're certainly going to sit back here and have a bit of a look at them with the binos and see what's what. I've got this chocolate buck up here on the hillside, up in there. He actually looks not too bad front on, but the minute he turns his head, he's all but got a stick on one side, a couple of little busted off points on the other side. So it's amazing how these animals are hard to gauge. They can look really good from the front or the back. You really need them to turn their head so you can see the palmation on their antlers or get a bit of a gauge of height from a different perspective. There's a little bit of excitement. It's been quiet in here. We've just bumped a Menai fallow buck, not a shooter, up above us. Walked off him, went about 10 metres, and we've had a 5x5 red stag come roaring up the face towards us, so we've given him a couple of grunts back. No luck. He came in, thrashed a tree. We could both see his top of his head and his antlers, but not enough for a shot. We only needed him to take another 1 or 2 steps and we would have been clear. I was hot to trot, and he just turned around and walked back down the slope, so hopefully he's headed in the same direction as us, but certainly a good sign. We were sitting down this hillside about 200 metres underneath where I am, overlooking 2 old wallows. Now they're full of water, the deer haven't been in there. We've had a few small fallow spikers filter through on the pad underneath that bit of a hide. My mate's going to stay there and just see what does filter through. It's sort of the middle of the day at the moment. I've jumped up a couple of levels on the mountainside and I'm going to cut in on a big pad that's up in here and check out another wallow site about 1 kilometre further along the range. We did have a couple of red deer that made a bit of a mew up on this hillside, a couple of roars, but they're definitely not committing to the call, so I'm going to go and look for them. That's a good sign. Nice red stag print in the mud, but it seems to be going the wrong direction. At least the ground's quiet to move in. That's really frustrating. I've crept up here like an absolute ninja, kind of. I've crested this little rise, wind on my nose. I've gone like 20 metres along and the wind is straight behind me, and I've just had deer bust out of the timber 50 metres in front. No luck with this wind, that's for sure. I've got a red deer roaring about 300 or 400 metres down underneath where I am. I'm coming down a spur at the moment. I'm very tempted to drop down there and have a look at it if I can get eyes on. We'll see. Wow, that all happened really quick. I've just come down this bit of a face. There was a red roaring down underneath me. Came from nowhere, over the ridge, smacked him down here, rolled him. Let's go and check him out. He looks really good. Holy shit, I am 40 metres off that first red deer that I shot as it came over that saddle. I didn't film that, and I've just shot another one about 150 metres down the slope. He was with two hinds. Oh, far out. Wow. Speechless. Let's go and check him out. That other one's going to be hard to get down to, but wow. Wow, this fella's wedged himself in that tree really well. Let's try and get him out, have a better look. I'm absolutely stoked with this guy. He's a 5x6, so 11 pointer. He's not a hugely old animal, but he's got a big head on him and a really large body. You truly forget how big these animals are until you get up on them and you've got to try and maneuver them around for a photo by yourself. They certainly weigh quite a lot. It's going to be a bit of a mammoth effort to get this head and the back straps plus the next one down there all the way out. Fortunately, my trip is downhill. My mate can pick me up at the bottom later tonight. I'm certainly going to load up that Spiker Drover 25-litre backpack with a fair bit of weight. We'll just have to see how it carries it. I've got a feeling it's going to be quite uncomfortable. You never know. It might surprise me. You guys get to see the nice side of all these trophies, but there's a lot of work that goes into propping these big animals up for a decent photo. Love that gut hook. Couple of busted ribs in the top of his spine there. A bit sharp. I know it's not hugely taxing on a blade edge to take some back straps out of a deer, but this is my 5th animal I've processed. What is impressive though is I'm also taking the skull caps, and they are awful on a blade because the animals are full of dirt and mud and bark and stuff up around the base of those antlers, and this knife is still sharp. So I don't know if I'd get 5 deer processed like this out of my normal hunting knife, to be honest, let alone something with a replaceable blade, and I'm carrying 3 spares. Probably overloaded with those if I've got through 5 already. Let's see if it can do a 6th one. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Bastian from ASA, or Australian Sporting Agencies. He's the supporting person behind these rut deer hunting videos. Big thanks to him. He sells all sorts of tools I'm sure you guys would like to have a look at. Have a look at his website, and it's available in all your local stores. What a terrible way to die. Stuck in a fence. He's really tangled. There's no bones from the carcass, just a skull, some strips of dried meat, and the antlers. That's me looking back up the hill. I was up in there somewhere. The other deer's over there. Stag was standing here, from what I can see from the marks in the mud, and the roll angle down there is about 60 degrees. There's an antler sticking up just there. That is going to be absolutely horrendous down into there. I've got to try and figure out what I can do here. Here's where he fell. That is a massive set of antlers. That is an awesome trophy. Definitely a PB for me. Just got to figure out what to do and how to get at him properly. That might give you a little bit of a better idea of the angle down in here. It is bloody steep. I'm going to have to try and slide him down and under that tree. Down into there somehow. I managed to unhook him off that tree and not so graciously slide it down into that gully there. See if I can get it down to the bottom of that a little bit. So I'm out hunting, yeah? Looking for stags and bucks in the rut. Everyone wants a trophy, but this is an absolute killer of a PB for me in the red category. Now, I've got stags on the wall at home with more points, but I don't have one with this mass, and this spread is probably close to 1 metre wide. He's around 2 inches thick on the girth at the bottom. His brow tines, they're about 10 inches long. He's got these big gnarly tops that curl in, big wide nose. He's certainly a mature stag. I knew that it was a 5x5 when I shot him. You can see that in the footage as I recorded it, but I had no idea that it was an animal of this caliber. To be honest, it was all a little bit rushed. I shot that first buck, looked down, saw this guy, and thought, shit, there's another one. I'll get the camera out and set it up this time because I've got a bit more time. He was stationary. I'd obviously just fired a shot and probably disturbed him out of this gully that I'm in. So I had a little bit of time there. He had, I think, 2 or 3 hinds with him. So potentially that first one that I shot was a younger animal coming in on the wind to this guy with a couple of in-season hinds. So I've certainly taken out one of the giants up in this valley, and I am over the moon. It has been a huge amount of work up in these hills to get in on these animals. They aren't really roaring all that well at the moment. We get little, spits here and there and head in, and then everything goes quiet. It's really frustrating. We did have 1 or 2 come into the call and either couldn't get a look at them or the wind was bad. That didn't work out, so stoked to get in on this guy and get the opportunity. We're just taking advantage of what we do have here while we can and enjoying some really good red deer and fallow buck hunting in the rut, which we are absolutely doing. That's the first head that I've shot, brought down to the big guy. Look at the size difference. Mass, width, brow tine length, hugely different animals. That's the difference. Probably 5 or 6 years of age will do to a red deer if they get given the chance. That's been the death of a Havlon blade. I've completely fleshed out this skull. I'm going to Euro mount this guy, and yeah, that chewed through that other blade. So I've put the filleting blade on and got through it. It isn't exactly sharp anymore though. Not going to make up some sort of fantasy story there, but I'm still very impressed with the blade life that I have got for easier, more sensible tasks. But yeah, that bone has just killed that edge for sure. Well, I'm heading down. I've got 2 deer heads on my back. That's a first. It is, well, it's heavy, especially with the full Euro skull on the back. So I did end up only getting back straps off one of those deer, the old fella I didn't worry about, but I've made up for that in skull weight. So, ouch. Yeah, down I go through the Bathurst burr. I've got 1 head still on my back. I've just dropped the big fella there, and now there's another chocolate fallow buck on the ground about 100 metres underneath me. So I don't know what I'm going to do with 3 heads. Probably have to mark where the fallow is, and we'll have to try and get the buggy up here tomorrow or get back in to get him, because I'm not going to be able to carry that out. But anyway, we'll go and have a look at the fallow. For a day that started off like crap, what a great day it has been. This is a fantastic little buck. I'm really happy with him. He was just strutting around in this timber underneath where I was. I wasn't paying so much attention to looking for deer, more so not falling over with all that weight on my back. Fortunately, I'm only a few 100 metres above where the vehicle will be, so I'm going to continue down there, drop those other 2 heads off, hike my way back up here, sort this fella out. I reckon about now you guys are watching this thinking, wow, these peanuts are shooting every buck and stag that they see. We're actually not. We're walking past quite a fair few animals, but we are taking the ones that we like the look of or that are good to hunt. Why are we doing that? This area has been subject to heavy aerial culling by government services. Those guys have put a really big dent in the deer numbers last year, and they will be back. So we're making the most of the hunting while we can. Do you guys remember that property that I was at last year that was deer mecca absolutely everywhere? Well, that was cold as well, hence I'm not back there. What a fantastic trip. I'd like to say a big thank you to my unnamed mate Bucket, who's on the other side of that camera. Yes, he's got a bit of a smirk on his face at the moment. No, I'm not going to tell you what his name is. Without his help, these trips wouldn't happen. So genuine, thank you, mate. I've had a great time up here. New PB red stag, super stoked with that. I think I've shot 3 reds, 3 fallow. You've decked a couple of fallow. It's been probably some of the hardest hunting I've ever done. The rut hasn't really kicked off yet properly, so we might get a little bit more action yet. But if you have liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Ensure you subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it if you'd like to have a look at my Patreon. And I'll see everyone next time.